Welcome to the NASIC 2020 session. Please refer to SCED for a complete biography of each speaker. Please participate in our online forum, which can be located at the NASIC website with questions or comments about this session. These links are provided below this video. NASIC's Code of Conduct applies to all discussions on the forum. Please tweet along about this session using the hashtag NASIC 2020. We would like to thank the NASIC sponsors for helping us make our online conference freely available. And now I'll turn things over to our speakers. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mandy Hurt, and I am the Serials Description Librarian and Coordinator at Duke University Libraries. My presentation is the Serial Cohort, a confederacy of catalogers. At Duke, we have two serials description librarians. We are responsible for cataloging all serial titles where we have a language competency for Perkins and Bostock, the main campus library, Lilly, the East Campus Library, the Divinity School Library, the Music Library, the Marine Lab Library, Duke University Archives, and the David M. Rubenstein Rare Book and Manuscript Library. We are also responsible for data cleanup of legacy cataloging, this need arising from Duke University Libraries' commitment to national, regional, and local print retention programs, as well as our future migration to Folio, a new integrated library system. Beginning in 2018, all workflows and reporting structures within Duke University Libraries technical services were closely examined in search of efficiencies and opportunities to improve service to our library users' needs. As part of the resulting restructuring, we looked for ways to leverage our available expertise in the face of staffing attrition. This discussion resulted in part in a plan for developing serials cataloging proficiency in other technical services staff, and a brief review of the CONSA Basic Serials Training Workshop materials was undertaken as a potential path forwards. A serials cohort was established. As most of them were already monographic catalogers, they reviewed an edited version of CONSA's Basic Serials Cataloging Workshop slides and met weekly to discuss them and to ask questions. The desired result was to produce staff capable of undertaking the complex copy cataloging of serials within their area of expertise and to make technical services stakeholders more familiar with serials. While I was not involved directly with this initial training, I made myself available for office hours each week in case they had additional questions or materials they wished to discuss with me. At the end of this training, the catalogers still felt they needed more detailed instruction and hands-on experience to complete their training. The result? A more formalized establishment of the serials cohort, of which the principal cataloger and I would become co-conveners. This cohort would be committed to developing a community of practice around serials cataloging training and standards application. We would meet with the group that had undertaken the earlier CONSA training every month to discuss issues they had run across that could be shared with the group to increase everyone's skill set and knowledge. Our solution was sound in theory, but in practice, we began to run into major obstacles. Ideally, those involved in the cohort would have had plenty of time set aside from their regular duties to devote to further investigation of serials cataloging standards while cataloging multiple serials. In practice, this work was not taking place in a vacuum, and they were still responsible for their regular workload, other special projects as assigned, and answering to 5 different reporting structures, which made coordinating meeting times practically impossible. They were also charged with learning ANSI NISO Z39 standards for holdings and local itemization practices, neither of which had been included in their original CONSA training. With little time available to practice and the difficulties of coordinating the meeting schedule, it was time to re-examine the plan. On reflection, it was decided to form a much smaller first-generation cohort in order to use them as a test case for the commitment of personnel and resources involved in producing independent complex copy serials catalogers. As I was also engaged in mentoring a new serials description cataloger at the time, it was hoped with a smaller cohort which would include my mentee, I would still be able to give each member of the group more attention while allowing my mentee to share their new skills as well as learn some additional ones. As the principal cataloger was assigned to many new duties and projects during this period, I became sole convener of the serials cohort, which made the need for a smaller cohort even more crucial. We began with monthly meetings to discuss issues as they arose, and with the catalogers invited to send me up to 3 serials records a week, work obligations permitting. While this group was comprised of experienced and highly skilled monographic catalogers, it became obvious that we would need to meet more frequently, in part to address essential differences in the approach to monographic and serials cataloging. Cataloging has frequently been compared to solving puzzles. In the case of serials cataloging, the volumes you are working with frequently comprise an incomplete puzzle and might all be parts with pictures of the sky at that. They were not used to representing an incomplete picture, to making educated guesses about the missing parts and how to indicate that information was missing. As they were all working on serials involving different degrees of completeness, this made it even more difficult to share what they had learned. It was decided we would meet twice a week, and I would provide homework of dummy serial volumes I had constructed to introduce and explain many of these new facets. After each session, I would send them a completed dummy record for the homework so they could revise and compare it to the records they had made. In the meantime, they continued to upload their serial records to our online saved file for my review and feedback. Given the much smaller group, I was able to spend more time with them one-on-one in terms of learning standards for holdings and itemization. In this way, we created a feedback loop that allowed for the cohort's catalogers to be at different stages of development. For instance, as one of the catalogers was receiving more serial reprint titles through their workflow than anything else, I was able to quickly change direction with that cataloger to address what they needed to know right then, particularly as the titles were in a language in which the serials description librarians had no competency. At the end of the first generation, we have produced 2 independent complex copy serials catalogers in much needed areas of expertise and contributed to the development of our new original serials cataloger. I still offer review and consultation on new to them aspects of serial cataloging as they arise, and we will be examining the cost benefits in continuing onwards with the second generation cohort in regard to where our department's needs currently stand. Thank you for your time and attention. If you have any questions for me, feel free to contact me at my Duke email that's now visible on screen, or you will be able to ask questions through the NASIG forum, which will be open for this purpose and for any other questions you have about other sessions through the end of June. Again, Thank you for your time and attention.
And thanks to everyone for attending this NASIC 2020 session. The speakers will be monitoring the NASIC forum throughout June 2020. The links to the forum, SCED, and our code of conduct are below this video. Please again, tweet about the session using the hashtag NASIC 2020, and thank you again for joining us.